everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Booth YouTube channel. My name is Luke, and today we are running through the Super Rugby Pacific quarter-finals, reviewing those games and having a quick look into the semi-finals. First quarter-final to kick us off was the Blues hosting the Waratahs, 3 versus 6 in Eden Park. Not much to say. The Waratahs and Darren Coleman tried a lot of things. Obviously, the change of the lineup before kickoff. The players that they put out there with injuries and everything like that, unfortunately just went up to the task. Now, the Blues team is getting better and better as the season goes on, pretty much. They have really worked well into this game and into these finals to build at the right time. And that backline's incredible. The way, those, I guess you'd call them role players, just about like Bryce Heem are playing alongside the stars of Talia, Ioane and Barrett is just, it's a scary thought. They're dominating the game up front and then just allowing the space in the backs. And it's just brilliance. It's utter brilliance. And they could just about go in next week as favourites against the Crusaders in Christchurch. But before we get onto that game, the top performers, I think here, Nepo Laulala has shot up in form in the past week. Him and Ofatunga Fussy absolutely dominated when it came to set piece time and around the ruck. I think Finlay Christie had a very strong game, his strongest game in a while, marching the forwards around, and Bowden Barrett obviously being back and winning that tactical kicking battle against Ben Donaldson. For the Tars, it's another growing year, still obviously a lot better than before Coleman took over. But, yeah, at some point they do need to win one of these playoff games, even if they keep finishing at 6. The second game was the Chiefs versus the Reds. Earlier on in the season, obviously, the Chiefs only had one loss, and it was against the Reds at home. So, hosting the Reds, who snuck in 8th place to the finals, 1 against 8.
Seeds don't matter. I've said that all along. I told these guys, I don't care where we're seated. We have to win 6 games.
You would normally expect, I think, a team like the Chiefs who have only lost 1 game to run away with it. And I think if their loss had come against someone else and not the Reds, you probably would have assumed that pretty easily. I think because we knew how well the Reds matched up to this Chiefs side, having already done it, it left the game wide open. And the Reds did what they did last time, and they hung in there. Unfortunately, weren't able to get over the line, 29-20 to the Chiefs. I have my question marks around the Chiefs. They've stood up in every big game, and look, only losing 1 game against the Reds and getting a chance to redo that and winning, but it wasn't convincing as their biggest competitors are when you see the Crusaders and the Blues win by the margins that they won by. But when we come to finals time, it's all about winning. All I do is win, no matter what. It doesn't matter about the value or the points difference there. So they'll take the win, obviously, and keep continuing on being able to host a semi-final and then ideally a final for them. They do host the Brumbies in the semi-final, and again, another Australian team having to come over has made this run a little bit easier for them. But saying that, they will need to pick up their game if they want to beat the Brumbies. They can't be doing what they did on the weekend again. The Fijian Drua made their first finals appearance, and unfortunately it was underwhelming. Obviously, myself and Hughesy, big supporters of the Drua, but I wouldn't say they let us down. They definitely didn't let us down. They got beaten by a Crusaders juggernaut on the move. That was a pretty special, I think, performance with the Crusaders. They tactically won. They physically won, which is hard to do against a Drua side. But saying that about the Drua, I would say that they'll be absolutely positive about the season. Disappointing last game, but going into Christchurch to play the Crusaders in a quarterfinal or a final is one of the hardest tasks to do, and especially getting a win is even harder. So they'll be very happy with being able to get that experience under the belt, but probably not happy with the end result, especially for 20 minutes of the game. The Crusaders were down to 13 men just due to injuries. Speaking about that, obviously Crusaders now host the biggest test of the season with the Blues coming into town. Our 2 finalists from last year now face off in the semi-final. The Crusaders will be a next man up mentality as they are just struggling with numbers, and as I said, finished with 13 on the field. I don't think Richie Mo'unga injury was too bad, but when they're up so much at that point, it was beneficial to get him off. Zach Gallagher didn't look good. Blackadder, again, not 100%. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see the squad they name and at what capacity that they can name them at. I think if it's a moderate capacity or a decent capacity, they'll go into the game as favourites because you've still got to go into Christchurch and beat them. But I definitely think the Blues, after, probably having an easier semi-final, quarter-final, not playing the tougher Fijian Drua side, and physically, as we've seen with players falling down for the Crusaders, will be looking forward to that matchup now. The final game of the quarterfinals, my Hurricanes against the Brumbies, by far the best game of the round, in my opinion. You can say maybe the Chiefs Reds, but I think everyone knew that this game was going to be very close. You couldn't separate the two. Both of them, when they played in Wellington, it was a one-try game, and then going over to the Brumbies, a one-try game as well. Now, obviously, I want to come out and say we were absolutely robbed. It was devastating. I think I'm going to start by saying, as a Hurricanes fan, it was a correct decision that was made. If the ref couldn't see the ball being down, you can't award a try, so he sent it up to the TMO. If the TMO can't get a clear, grounding where he can overturn it, which I think Artie got it down, but I don't think the TMO can say it was clear. There was never a point where you could have sat there and said it was clearly touching the ground. You can't overturn it. So I no problems with the ref or the TMO, because if the ref had thought he'd seen it touch the ground and then sent it up as a try, I think it stays as a try. But because he didn't see it, fair play. That is rugby. I think the Hurricanes will be disappointed. They got themselves into a point where they're up by 8 points and probably should have held on for the win. As much as there was, 70 points scored in this game, the Brumbies' defence was fantastic, and it showed in that last little, goal line D where they just held on for dear life and ended up winning the game because of it. So they travel now to Chiefs to probably try and do the unthinkable. They just about did it last year when we saw them play the Blues in Eden Park in the semi-final. Can they do it against the Chiefs? Big task. So, Crusaders hosting the Blues, Chiefs hosting the Brumbies. Same 4 teams from our semi-finals last year, just in different orders. What I do want to say, and I believe that this now speaks even more true, is top 6 finals, to me, has to come to fruition. Look, I understand it. I totally understand it. A good chance for 8 to beat 1. I get the understanding behind that. The Reds put up a good fight. But seeing the Blues beating the Waratahs, and I know that would have been 6. They were ranked the 6th team, the Waratahs, and the Drua not making it or getting smacked. But the quality of the game that we saw between the Brumbies and Hurricanes was just a higher quality game because of the competitiveness of the two teams. So in my head, it should go 6, and you go, the old 1 and 2 playoff for the final spot, then 6 plays 3, 5 plays 4, winners of that, rah, 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 rah. You work it out. We get there, finals. Teams get an extra rest every for the top 2 teams, whatever, to make the draw happen. But to me, it just needs to happen where there's 6 teams in the final, or even potentially 4, and we just go straight to semi-finals. But I like the 6 teams because of the game we just saw there between 4 and 5. Anyway, that's been my recap of the quarterfinals of Super Rugby Pacific. An interesting tussle, heartbreak for myself, but 4 really good teams moving on to the semi-final, and I think now arguably the 4 best teams come to it, and we'll see who takes it out. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe, please give me a like, let me know what you thought of the games, let me know how robbed the Hurricanes were. They were robbed. I don't care what I just said before, they were robbed.
Damn it! It never, ever, ever goes our way.
And for now, I'll see you later. Goodbye.